I wanted to play around with a couple different techniques for making poinsettias on my macaron shells using royal icing, which I really love because it's something that hardens and then you can put it in your refrigerator, you can put it in your freezer, and it retains its really nice hard consistency. Spoiler alert, I'm about to put a ton of royal icing onto these macarons, so if the quantity of royal icing is like way too overwhelming for you, I 100% appreciate that. Just know that you could do these same techniques with buttercream, but just note that they aren't going to harden the same way, and you might be a little bit better suited to using the buttercream versions if you're making cupcakes or cake or something else instead of macarons. But you definitely could even use buttercream on macarons if you want, just know it's not going to harden the same way. So I'm starting off here with a really stiff royal icing recipe. I do have some videos about royal icing if that is something that is new to you. So I've got this to a really stiff consistency. I really didn't add much water or flavorings into it. And then I am using the Sugar Art Master Elite Gel Powder food colorants. These are really lovely, and as you saw here for the red, I added in not only red but a little bit of brown here as well, and I'm going to do the same thing with the green. I'm going to mix a little bit of different colors all together, the majority of one color, the color I want, and then to tone down a color you can always add in a little bit of brown and a little bit of whatever the opposite color you're using. So for red, I can mix a bit of green in there to temper it a little bit, and with the green, add in just a touch of red again to soften that and really allow it to blend a little bit better with the red that I've chosen. I am just using a little bit of water to help activate and get these powders incorporated into the royal icing, and whenever you are using a powder, it's a really good idea to mix it in and then just let it sit there for a little bit and then give it another stir. It takes a little bit longer for a powdered colorant to incorporate into whatever mixture you're using, whereas a gel food colorant or a water-based food colorant, you know, it incorporates a lot more quickly, and even if you're letting it rest, it still can develop a little bit, but the powdered food colorants really develop quite a bit more when you let them rest. So I'm going to get these all incorporated in here, make sure I've got the colors that I want. Again, I'm making poinsettias, so I am going for the, kind of poinsettia colors, very Christmas vibes, red and green, and I'm keeping to a bit of a darker toned down green and red instead of something that's super vibrant or neon. As I mentioned, I am going to be creating two different versions of poinsettia macarons. The first one is using piping tips and piping bags. I have two different tips. One of them is a small leaf tip. The other one is like a petal or leaf tip, but it's just the straight triangle. You can absolutely, especially with the one that is just like a little triangle cutout, you can just cut that out of your piping bag. You don't absolutely need a piping tip, though I really like it. I find that it's really sturdy, it gives really good definition, but you absolutely could do this without one if you wanted to. So first I'm going to go through and pipe the leaves. I'm just piping about 3 on each, and then after that's had a chance to just sit and start kind of forming a little bit of a skin, then I'm going to go back in with the red. As I mentioned before, I completely know that this is a ton of royal icing. I love following cookiers on Instagram. I love seeing people create things with royal icing, But every time I see something, especially this really floral, I'm like, oh my God, do you really want to eat that much royal icing? That's so much. And I'm having the same thought here with these macarons, but hear me out. First of all, you might be a person who just loves royal icing, and that's great. But I think that this is a really good statement macaron, and you don't even have to do this as a poinsettia. I know I'm sharing this on Christmas, but you can do this with all kinds of other florals throughout the year. And if you are especially doing like a banquet table or an event, a wedding, a something, you might want to have a couple macarons that are just like super decorated and decked out, and then have a lot of simpler macarons as kind of your main eating macaron, but kind of a statement one to slip in there just for something really special for people to look at and, you know, photograph and have on the table as an edible art piece. So here with the red, I've gone in, and poinsettias, it's really nice to go in and create 6 petals for the outer part there, so you can kind of go in a triangular pattern first, you know, like alternating leaves just to give it a little bit of depth and everything. And then you can go in after that and create some more petals on the inside. I'm leaving a little space here at the very center. On these ones, on the piped ones, I'm going to go in with a relatively large golden sprinkle for the center. Though if you wanted to, you can go in with just a little bit of any kind of icing and then paint it with a gold luster dust later, or you can create a yellowy gold sort of royal icing color to pipe in there. You have a ton of options. I know it might be a little bit surprising. You might have heard me mention in other videos, I do not like large sprinkles. I don't necessarily love the appearance, though sometimes it is really lovely, but more than anything, I just hate the taste. I hate crunching on sprinkles. That is just like my nightmare. So yeah, I really did this again more for the art of it, more for the appearance of it than for the taste. If you are doing this kind of macaron, especially if you have layers and layers of royal icing, definitely get in there with a good quality extract. Vanilla, almond, rose, anything, lemon, to make sure that you don't just have random sugar on the top, especially because there's so much color in here. You could also get away with adding spices, cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, especially for the holiday season. While the red royal icing was still a bit moist, I just popped in that relatively large sprinkle, and now these ones are done. I'm going to set them aside to completely harden while I work on my palette knife flowers. In the pastry world, palette knife flowers and decorations are most often done with buttercream or ganache, but recently I've been really challenging myself to work more and more with royal icing and palette knives. It is a challenge. It is hard. Royal icing is harder to work with this way. It is a little bit putzier. It's a little bit harder to maneuver in the same way to have a really smooth, clean edge. It's a little bit harder to pick up when you're smearing it like this. The thinner parts dry really quickly. It's not as forgiving like that. It's challenging. And because it's challenging, obviously I want to get better at it. So I'm just going in with a palette knife here, just kind of a like regular sized one. There's nothing really that special about the size or shape, just creating some leaves. Again, I'm kind of going in here near the edges and creating 3, 4, 5 leaves here. And in the beginning, I kind of thought, oh, this might be nice. I'm going to use less royal icing. Hold that thought, because just wait till I get the red royal icing on there. I definitely ended up layering this one a lot, so I don't necessarily think that this technique uses less royal icing than the piped ones, but I don't know. It's just again a fun thing to try. It felt really artistic, and if you are doing something for, a Christmas table or a holiday gathering, again, I think having some statement macarons that have this intensive artwork on them is just really cool. It's really cool. So now I'm going in. I did let the greenery dry, not entirely. It's still a tiny bit squishable, but I would say I left this for 20 to 30 minutes. So a decent amount of time before I started layering in the red there. And then I went in, I have a little bit smaller of a diamond palette knife here, and I am going in with that sort of same intention of creating like 6-ish petals at the base, but as you can see, like with this one, depending on the size and like the leaf placement and many other factors, it kind of got away from me, and I didn't actually create 6 petals for all of the flowers. So yeah, this was definitely a bit more freeform and random, but I really like that. That's something I like about palette knife painting and about palette knife dessert artwork. So this is definitely more abstract and free-form, free-flowing kind of a vibe, which depending on the kind of flower you want or what you are making these for, it could definitely, I think, be more suited to some people and some occasions rather than the really like pristinely piped edges of the first flowers I was making. For this, once again, I know I'm sharing this at Christmas with poinsettias as inspiration. You can do this, change up the colors, do this any time of the year. I promise it will be gorgeous. Now I'm going in here with the palette knife ones, and I'm just using some green royal icing because I didn't want to color any new stuff. And after it had dried completely, I went in with some golden luster dust here, just mixed with a tiny bit of an extract, and I just painted it right on. I loved how that ended up looking. Even though I did use the piping back there instead of a palette knife for the center, it still continued to have that very like rough artistic vibe instead of the like really, again, clean edges, perfectly round sprinkle center of the piped poinsettias. I really hope you enjoyed this little royal icing flower macaron tutorial. Again, I know it's a ton of royal icing. This might not be for everyone, but I so enjoyed making these. I think it's a fantastic, again, statement macaron, and I really hope that you give this a try throughout the year, that you play around with the colors and styles and techniques in your own kitchen. If you do, make sure to tag me on Instagram at Maddie Brame so I can check out your hard work as well. Until next time, thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Bye.